is Saturday, September 14th, and you are watching You Don't Watch Sports right here on the Feo Grande YouTube network. I am Bill Smith, and I am joined as always with the man, the myth, the legend, Feo Grande himself, Omari Ellis. Omari, how was your sports week, baby?
Could have been better, but you know what? It was fine.
First week of NFL, we got
First week of NFL.
NFL MLB season is starting to round out to its end. Lots of things to talk about here, but we'll cover three of them on You Don't Watch Sports because we always got three topics just to sprinkle a little bit of sports information into your casual conversation as we are your guiding light through the sea that is sports talk. Omari, topic number one, seed number one. Let's run us through NFL week one.
Yes. Like I said, NFL week one, teams are going strong, already going in. And, we'll start with the main story. The teams who are who we thought they were. Kansas City, the Chiefs are still chiefing. They beat the Ravens on opening night. I mentioned it last week, but I want to mention it again because the Ravens player lost with his toe on the line, a la Kevin Durant. Toe over the line, touchdown didn't count. Ravens lose. Already at 0-1.
Tough loss.
Very tough. Tough loss for America. No, I'm kidding. It's not that bad. The Chiefs win. The Dolphins in the news for week one, as well as the beginning of week two, for various reasons, both of which beginning with T. First, Tyreek Hill gets arrested right before the game on Sunday because he was speeding and decided to have his tinted windows rolled up when the cops asked him to roll them down. Cops may have been a little excessive in how they dealt with it. However, he was still technically in the wrong as well. But what arrested before the game? Come on now. Showed up as a scooter to Thursday's game. He showed up on a scooter to Thursday's game, kind of as a kind of dig at himself and his situation, at more the situation, obviously. But unfortunately, the other T, Tua Tagovailoa, suffered as he has unfortunately been prone to doing, another concussion. On Thursday night, I think I saw in a tweet that the hit came from Darvin Hamlin or whatever his name was, Darren Hamlin. So the Bills player who was finally back on the field as well, who had his incident. It's just unfortunate that they both have to have, their names associated with these negative highlights in their life, as opposed to both of their great talents. Wishing to a speedy recovery and everything.
I was going to say bring it up a little bit because
I'm just I don't want to be like, but
the tone was so low and slow, and you weren't being specific enough that you were like,
I said he got a concussion.
Our viewers are casual.
I said he got a concussion. Tua Tagovailoa.
But the context wasn't there that the man is alive. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh.
Not to laugh at this again, but he is alive. Like that is a thing to celebrate because this is again another scary moment in his career that could have gone the other way. So there is some silver lining here to say that Tua is still with us. But my gosh.
Yeah.
Sir.
Now, something that can make people happy is other quarterbacks that people don't like because they may or may not be the best people, one of which definitely a shitty person. We'll get to it. But the first of them, Aaron Rodgers, loses opening night. He plays, surprising me at least, plays against the 49ers and loses 19-32 because when you're a Jet all the way. And he threw less yards than Brock Purdy on that night. Anyway, and one more interception. One more interception. Shut up. Who cares? Speaking of shitty quarterbacks, and by that I mean shitty people, Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns in the news again for the same reason he was in the last time, wishing him the worst. Moving on, we got the Cleveland Browns, they were the lovable losers because of all that stuff, but they kind of sold their soul to get Deshaun Watson. You know who didn't sell their soul and is the new lovable losers of the NFL? The Detroit Lions. And you know what they did? They won on Monday night against the LA Rams in an overtime craziness. And it's even more crazy because, it's Jared Goff going against the team that said, we don't fucking want you, versus
Yep.
Matt Stafford, the team that said, I don't fucking want to be on this team. And well, I bet you want to be on this team now. Probably not, because you got a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's got a
Yeah.
Super Bowl ring.
So probably not, because you got a Super Bowl, much to my chagrin. And not against Matt Stafford, obviously against the team he won it with.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the Lions beat the Rams. One of the games of the week, overtime thriller. There you go. NFL roundup. Some of the highlights from week 1.
All right.
Yep.
I'm going to take it straight into our MLB roundup. Keep it brief here because we are still going on the MLB season, even though it's closing strong. As I talked about the last couple of times we met, a lot of teams were dead. A lot of playoffs were pretty much locked up. Well, that's even more the case. I mean, pretty much every playoff team is set except for one more fight, and that is in the AL East for the American League East champion between the New York Yankees and the Baltimore Orioles. I believe at the time of recording this, Baltimore Orioles are 2 games back from the Yankees, but those positions have been swapping all season long, so don't be surprised if it is a fight till the very end of the season. I want to hit our Shohei tracker, Shohei's chase to become the first ever 50-50 baseball player. That's 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases. He is currently at 47 home runs and 48 stolen bases with several games left to go.
Is he the closest to get this? Is this the closest anyone's gotten to it?
Absolutely.
Yes. That's right. He's the only 40-40.
Right. Well, no. The club for 40-40 is only like, we covered it a couple of weeks ago, but it's something like 7 guys.
Yeah. I knew he was in rare company.
Yes. And then finally, I want to touch on a overall acknowledgement of a baseball player named Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani's teammate on the Los Angeles Dodgers, because Mookie Betts this week crossed into 70 WAR for his career. Now, WAR is a stat measured in baseball that is wins above replacement. It is essentially a multi-functioned, multi-formulaed thing
Multifaceted.
to spit out a number that says you are approximately this many wins for your team that you're playing for more than your average baseline major league potential athlete in your current baseball day. So in a very layman's terms, that stat is saying that Mookie Betts is 70 wins, has provided 70 wins to the teams that he's played for beyond what your average Joe Major League Baseball player would provide. The man still has many years left on his contract, and possibly even more than that. He's a man that feels young, even though, because he's never been a big guy. He's a smaller guy. He's a skinnier guy, and he can play all over the outfield. It's only proven further in his time in the Dodgers as he's moved from outfield positions into the infield, played time at second and short. Mookie Betts is one of the greatest players of our generation, and he should be acknowledged. Just a quick little fun note: with many years left in Mookie Betts' career, he's at 70 WAR. Your average Major League Baseball Hall of Famer has 65 WAR. Mookie Betts, ladies and gentlemen.
This man is 70 wins by himself, and they gave him Shohei Ohtani as a teammate.
Yep. He also has Freddie Freeman, one of the best first basemen in the league. Dodgers are amazing. Let's look at them in the playoffs. 3rd seed Omari, we had All Out last weekend, as we talked about last week on You Don't Watch Sports. And I wanted to go through a couple of things because it was definitely an interesting pay-per-view for AEW. Has made a lot of news, made a lot of headlines. Wanted to chat about it. First of all, wanted to talk about 2 incredible matches for me. Obviously, you're going to have your AEW International Championship match between Will Ospreay and and Pac.
Yeah.
So many people love that match, and it is two high flyers, speed demons doing what they do best: counter counters.
Peak athletes type deal.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, going at a freak speed, on a freak agility level. Incredible matches, and for me, really, the match of the night: Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander, just because I'm such a fan of Willow Nightingale and what she does. And although and I'm not the biggest fan of a hardcore match, and this was a hardcore match, particularly for a women's division in any company. Um, but just the things that these ladies were doing, it was just such a wonderful match, and I wanted to highlight it. But the main thing I wanted to talk about because of AEW All Out is the things that everybody's talking about, frankly, and that's um, our two dramatic finishes, let's say.
Dramatic finish.
You had, of course, the thing that closed out the night, um, the steel cage lights out match between Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page, where a real cinder block was used twice. Hangman took some scrapes from it, but Swerve took the real brunt thing. Um, a one would assume gimmicked um mock syringe full of mock drugs
Mm-hmm.
was injected into Swerve Strickland, where he then took a headshot from what one would assume is a gimmick steel chair. Uh, dramatic, heavy, violent finish
I mean,
the
dude burned his house down.
for a dramatic blood feud. Like this is a violent sport, and this is a
Lights out,
feud that is at
unsanctioned match
a
because these two hate each other so much.
absolutely, absolutely. And then earlier in the night, of course, you had the AEW World Championship match where Bryan Danielson, after some shenanigans from all kinds of parties, defeated Jack Perry in his championship defense. But then we had the betrayal of the Blackpool Combat Club, which included John Moxley suffocating Bryan Danielson via plastic bag. Um,
Yes.
Now, a lot of folks are having the conversation of, is this, should somebody be doing this? Did they go too far? I don't really want to have that conversation because these are all grown adult human beings who
Chose this as their profession.
one would assume not being forced into any of this.
Mm.
Um, you'd have to have the dream, you'd have to have the hope that they are doing everything that they are doing as safely as they could possibly do it. So you have to watch it with that lens.
Mm.
I more want to have the kind of the AEW has some fan base issues. Um, uh, if you wanna make the argument that it's not on the TV rating side of thing, it's hard to defend the American attendance that's happening currently. TV is sitting around 600 to 800,000, which is still very high in TV terms. Um, my thought is, if the company wants to grow, are these kind of things possible? Can or will these kind of things make that possible? Like my it is are there already the wrestling fans that there are wrestling fans? And they're probably already watching both companies, if not one or the other. And sway, it's kind of, I don't know, I kind of look at it like the American political system almost, of like how much real sway between the two are there. They kind of seem locked in. I feel like The ones up for grabs are the casuals,
Yeah,
the wives of male fans. Not to speak in generalistic terms, but that's my experience in seeing wrestling circles. The children of already built-in fans. So you end up getting full family units watching. Um,
exactly.
uh,
So
is that the thing? Is in reality you have 600 to 700,000 in AEW, and then you have like 1.2 million for WWE on TV ratings. Is that in reality? Is that just the kids and the potential not looking for violent stuff casuals that they're missing? That will they
what
ever get that chunk in doing this style?
I think they can, because the same reason why the same reason the Attitude Era worked, I think AEW could also work,
Mm-hmm.
because though it is though, maybe we shouldn't be suffocating people every other week on
Yeah.
TV,
Would you
or
not agree that we're much more protective of our
injecting.
children
Well,
than
oh, this is
what we were
what.
being protected?
Well, I was still going
Yeah, yeah.
with the point. Um, they, but it is a bit graphic at times, but I think it's right idea, not the best time at the moment for it, because of things like you said, us being super overprotective now of the kids and the general populace, whether adult or kid, but especially the kids, not quite being as collectively intelligent, or separative enough to
Mm-hmm.
know the difference that it's fiction, and with how hardcore they go, with trying to make this as realistic as possible,
Yeah.
that makes it even harder to separate. No, they're just playing, guys. This is just a thing. And no one's doing the don't try this at home shit anymore. Even back
I've
then,
never thought about that.
they just take it for granted that people know it's scripted, because it's so common knowledge now. They don't bother saying, don't try this at home.
Interesting. I didn't even realize that that's no longer an aspect of my wrestling.
So that said, I think what they're missing, and now some AEW fans, we know one, that will go and say a couple of things. One, they will say they're so tired of people on the internet talking about wrestling, and that includes podcasters. I read one of those things earlier today. I thought that was funny. Also, the other thing they say is, why do we care about gates? We're the fans. Let the business care about that. Like what the attendance and the ratings are. Enjoy the good wrestling while it's on. However, while we shouldn't care about that because we're the fans, eventually the people putting money out there to put these shows on are gonna care about how much money they're making. And so these people who want to watch good wrestling every week
Mm-hmm.
want people to show up in the crowds. Therefore, it's okay to be upset that your show is not getting any fan or any attendance as a fan. It just makes sense. If more people like this, my thing gets to remain on television. That said, I don't think it's a problem with the quality of the wrestling and the non-horrorcore matches. I think AEW has something for everybody. Only thing they're missing is that one like
Do
name,
do
that
they
name
want
that draws people to it.
the casuals? Because that's kind of my argument is hardcore
I don't think
stuff
so. I don't think so.
set aside, like that's kind of my thought process right now is like when you break it down of like I'm a wrestling fan, like those guys are already kind of in general either one camp or the other or following both.
But they want
Is
them
the
to all
difference
be
between
AEW.
AEW and WWE really just WWE brings in casuals and AEW almost kind of rejects casuals? Like they almost kind of punish you for not knowing the lore of New Japan and CMLL and AAA and what this guy did on the indies and
Know if they punish you for it because they do. Look, like that Excalibur motherfucker is a historian. He will tell you during the match what you need to know about if these motherfuckers wrestled 8 times in Ring of Honor and 2 times in New Japan or some shit.
right.
He'll do that much. So I think they'll have that, but to your
He's doing
first
that
to the
during the
overall,
match. You got to get me to the match.
but to your overall question,
Hmm.
I do believe their target demographic, they're welcome to casuals, but their target demographic is those hardcore. Then that's been the same since day one. We're the real wrestling company, not
Right.
that bullshit WWE sports entertainment. We're wrestlers over here. And
Hmm.
so they want that hardcore crowd. And because WWE, with due to the PG era and stuff, became associated with being soft and even more fake than wrestling is known to be.
Hmm.
Because it's choreographed, not fake, blah blah blah. But you get my point. They were like WWE's for bitches. We're the real company.
Yeah.
And they were proving it for a minute until some decisions backfired. Now, I'm not going to be like they're dead in the water or anything like that. They just need the cycle to come around because that's what wrestling businesses are cycles, peaks and what ebbs and flows.
Yep.
WWE, for example, yeah, things are good now. Oh boy, they were not for a minute.
Correct. Yeah, no, I feel that, and that's why everybody everybody who watches WWE, even if you are almost unaware of AEW's existence, needs to be aware of AEW's existence and appreciate their existence because they made wrestling better. They made life better for wrestlers. Um, so many things. Who knows if the evil that is Vince McMahon would have ever been exposed if the dominoes had not of if butterfly effect of you taking away that. Who knows? Wrestling is so much better now in every aspect. And one of the strongest things has to be the creation of AEW. So you got to give them that, and you want them to continue thriving.
Yeah, they'll grow. I'm just not sure if it'll be soon.
But now, even when they were putting on the greatest product and Vince was still in his dying days of his stranglehold on the company in the late 2019s, early 2020s to 2022
Mhm.
kind of thing. Um, they were they still were they still second place, third place behind Raw and SmackDown?
Third place behind Raw and SmackDown. I want to say yes, but Raw was declining in the ratings and they were catching up at one point.
Okay.
They were catching up. Like it looked like it was, we'd be talking about the opposite of like right now. What does WWE got to do to bring people back? But they had their incident about a year ago that soured a lot of people on the company. That whole, I'm gonna choke you, yeah, it's like CM Punk scapegoat stuff.
Oh,
That hit. I think that hit them popularity wise, as far as like with everybody talking about it, because it led to CM Punk leaving, and CM Punk had just brought a lot of people in because they just were like. That said, it's a year later. They're clearly doing all right storyline wise and
hmm.
potential star power, but only the hardcores know about it because
And
there's
I
not a
think they're
lot of
gonna.
casual names that, or not a names that are known enough to draw into
Hmm.
casuals.
And I think they're like I don't think they're going I don't think anything is going to cause them to collapse in any way. There's always at this point I think there's always going to be a AEW as long as Tony Khan wants there to be an AEW. Um I just as a viewer I would love to see just a packed insane
Oh yeah.
stadium, like their PLE, like their pay-per-views are. But their dynamites and collisions can sometimes be real sparse. And I'm not talking about the hard cam side. Um, so I just and I'm just developing a theory of like, is it just that it's the casuals that you're not getting who will come in and out, and you just have your devotees that are going to do their best to come every time you're in their city, but eventually you bleed that lemon dry.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about on another show with Ibn, you just had a span where you had a PLE for $55, and then you had a week break, and then you asked your fan base to spend for another PLE for $50. I just spent $100 on an interest in 3 weeks, um, that the other company charges me $7.99 a month for.
Oh, there is that. That's why I say they need the name to bring somebody in. I'm not saying they need the talent to bring somebody in. They clearly have a lot of talent. Some of the best wrestlers today are in that company and they're proving it when they're in the ring. The problem is no one wants to watch it. And I'm not saying I don't. I love it. But clearly, we turn a casual sports fan show into a wrestling show week after week. Clearly,
We've
I'm a
spent so
fan of
much time on this
wrestling.
topic. Yeah.
I just remember what show we were doing. So clearly we care about wrestling. I'm not talking about us specifically. But in the grand scheme of things, they just need to tough this out a little longer. Wait till whatever move happens with at whatever company that switches the pendulum back to where the eyes are looking this way. It's like the tennis match.
Mm-hmm.
Right
Mm-hmm.
now, the serve is over here because WWE is over here and they're just watching, waiting for them to volley it back. But eventually it will. And when that happens,
Pull it out
I
your
think it will
backside.
be
Who
exponential.
is that needle mover? Call it right now in this moment.
I want to say
Is it
certain
Ricochet?
people.
Is it the Hurt Business?
I don't know who gets them to look at.
Okay, the next rumored big contract. I would say big person.
Because I don't
Is
think it's
it
Ricochet.
is it Kevin Owens?
Kevin Owens might. Kevin Owens has done a lot in WWE and people really like him. And especially now that he's
Was
got the
also
stunner.
in the huge in that
Exactly.
indie AEW loves world.
Uh-huh. And I think he's buddies with the elite, or he's at least buddies with the Young Bucks because they used to like tag together or something in the indies. So I do think Kevin might make people look more, and that's when they'll see the swerves and the ospreys and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of stay for the blank and the whole come for the blank, stay for the blank. They
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of stay for the blank.
Yeah.
They just don't have a lot of come
People
for the.
came to WCW to see this Hollywood Hogan thing and saw Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio and Dean Malenko, and yeah.
Yes, that's what they need is come for this guy. Holy this is what y'all doing over here?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they need.
Interesting.
I don't know if they have that. I don't know who that is right now because I haven't been able to watch week to week if they already have it.
Mm-hmm.
But something's gonna happen, and I think when whatever it is
Shane McMahon that needle mover?
No. Well, because Shane, if Shane last time we saw him go or do anything, if he was still Shane fucking McMahon and not Arg my quad, maybe. Because here comes the money, people lose their shit.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say they don't, but if Edge wasn't, Shane ain't. And that's what I'm kind of saying. You got Edge, who clearly can still go. And it wasn't the hey, come for the Edge, stay for the Osprey, stay for the Swerve, stay for the Hangman, stay for the MJF, stay for the Pax and Ray Phoenixes and everybody else And Kenny Omega when he comes back. That's the other thing. One of their biggest hitters, Kenny Omega, is still out with his illness.
Mm-hmm.
So they still can't even, they're still not even at full power for their current fan base.
All right. We've spent too much time on this, but it was
We
a good
very
talk.
much.
Oh, good talk. That has been You Don't Watch Sports. If you want to see us ramble about wrestling or movies or TV shows, you can go check us out on This Guy Hasn't Seen. We also have another show that pops up here on this network called Mock Draft, where we do a fantasy wrestling league, and then we also in between draft random things for random subjects at random times. You also have another podcast on this network with a good friend of ours and good friend of the show,
That's
Super
right.
Jazz.
Super Jazz.
Tell them about it.
Yes, we have the Whatever We Want podcast on Wednesdays. We talk about just that, whatever we want. You know, we talk about things, flipping back and forth, just whatever's going on. You mentioned the other shows on the channel, so I'll just mention that I also have a Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi. Come on in, stop on by. Yeah.
All right, sir. Have a good sports week.
All right, you too. We'll see you next time.